Hey, it's Bee, back to show you my 2025 year of junk journal planners. You guys were with me when I put this one together at the beginning of the year, and then I moved it into my other two journals throughout the year. I even made this last one while I was on vacation. I brought all my bits and pieces with me, and I slowly put it together while I'm on vacation, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So you've seen this one. The way I kind of set up my journals, I'll give you a little sneak peek into some of my spreads and how I use my journal for both planning and memory keeping. So here is my cover page. I tend to do when I have time. You'll see the difference between like the beginning part of the year versus like the summer when we're really busy. So this, I was able on almost every month to do a collage at the beginning, and they came out so cute and I really enjoy them. I will often put like coloring pages that my daughter and I sit and color. She gets a lot of them from the library, so she will give me some to color too, and so those get in there. I even have some that she's colored. I will do some stamping and coloring into my journals. I will even, just gonna put my hand over here. I will even often use like things that I collect. Like I got this from an art museum we went to, from the brochure, so I just saved it and created a little tag, and it just has some hidden journaling on the back. And then I think there's another one here. I just wrote that we went sledding. I have photos. Did I put them in here? No, but it's noted so that I can reference the fact that there are photos of this day somewheres in all of my clutter. Okay, it's just on my phone. But I did make another one out of another piece of that. So that is kind of how I use my junk journal. I often journal on one side, usually the dot grid side, and then I memory keep, art journal, play in the rest of it, kind of like a junk journal scrapbook planner mashup. So this was the first part of the year. We can move into the second one of the year. This one is some old Tim Holtz paper. I really enjoyed making hexies. I started a hexie quilt project that'll probably take me a decade to finish, where I am taking scraps and making 1-inch hexies. I just used some Tim Holtz paper and sewed around them to kind of give it that thing. This is an older Tim Holtz stamp set. These butterflies are just from fabric from my stash. These are metal corners, and then again more of the Tim Holtz paper here. My little date. This is more fabric scraps, and then I just did some mixed media on this paper. And we can open it up, and you can see at this point in my life it was very busy, so a lot of these pages just have a little mixed media on them and the name of the month, and some of them have a sticker. Like I got this at a local shop, and then this one is where I found more time. This was made out of a napkin that I got at an event, and I just saved the napkin. Everyone else uses napkins for what they're designed for, and I use them for art. Let's see. There was a spread in here that let's see. Where was it? Aha. So this is like a good example of something like, Loki, my daughter wanted to do a drawing challenge, and so she challenged me to a drawing challenge. She drew 2 random lines. I think it was part of this plant pot and one of like the leaves. She drew 2 random lines, and then I made a drawing, and she did the same. I used some stickers from my stash, kept it pretty simple, and that is this one. And then we move into my current journal, at least for a little bit until I get my new one made for 2026. And so this is old King Company. This is just a frame and some of the ephemera that came with the collection. This is an old piece of lace. This is just a ribbon I tied into a bow. This is Tim Holtz fabric, some yarn I had in my stash, and then I just have more of that King Company paper. I did not label this journal, so I do need to remember to do that. And then again, you open it up, and I have my front pocket. And you can see I had more time. And I did make my collage. Let's see. I got a little bit of a collage. This is my birthday card from my mom from this year. And I stick that in there. More of a collage. Again, more napkin. This is an old post-it note. And then this is an old library like card. And then you can see my Christmas collage as well. Here is another example of me using drawings from my daughter to make pocket. There's a pocket back here, and she colored this, and I just cut it out. I did ask her permission to cut up the artwork she gave me. My kids are really good about knowing that I am a junk journaler, and so a lot. My December one is probably always my bulkiest signature because I do a lot of memory keeping in my December one. I made my card. Instead of my normal tracking, I just tracked my holiday joy on a list. And then I tracked my books. And then this is like wrapping paper. And then this was saved from a Lego set that my husband got for the holidays. This was some mail that we got from ordering from Kirkazat. And then this was off of our Christmas tree that we got this year. I got some stuff from Good Dot Store. This was an art piece that a friend of mine made. She made some watercolor Christmas cards and I loved it. So I put it in here. This was just some cute envelopes. And then my daughter got a wax seal kit, so she made me a wax seal. Because I have Mint Mobile, Ryan Reynolds sends me a Christmas card every year, which I find really funny. So I always put it in my journal as like, and I have more stuff underneath, but because this is a flip out, but it's personal stuff, so I'm going to keep that closed. And then like I keep notes from like my neighbors when they gifted us from the holidays. This was a tag off of a present that my daughter was really cute. She knows I collect all this stuff, so she ripped it off the present and then stuck it on my shirt and said, "Here for your journal," which I thought was really sweet of her. And then we come towards the end, and I just slowly put in all of the scraps that I get throughout the month of December into my journal. This is packaging. This is off of an envelope. And I will fill this in with all of the Christmas cards as I take the Christmas cards down off my refrigerator at the end of the season. But I am ready to move into my next journal. Like, I do a lot more journaling. I needed more journaling spaces. Because I don't do a ton of like big ephemera or thick ephemera. I can fit a few more pages. So I have 4 calendars, which then will also give me 4 or 2 sides that have dot grid on them for my weeks. I love pulling paper out of old notebooks. My in-laws gave us a whole box of like my husband's old like school stuff, and there happened to be an old sketchbook in there that had like, he used like 3 pages of that sketchbook, but it had perfectly good like drawing paper on it, or in it, excuse me. And so I just pulled out some sheets. Oh, I pulled out more than I need. I think I have, yep, I have 1 more than I need. And so I pulled out 1 per month, and actually this is what I'll build my card on. Even if it's a little smaller than A2, that doesn't really bother me. But I'll build my card on it. This is the one thing I did change recently, is I really like this. I got these at the dollar store a few years ago, and it's just this like note-taking page, but I like that it's in like the landscape, and it's half page, so it's like half of a like a standard US letter size, so it folds really nice. I usually cut off the part where I ripped it out of the book. Sometimes when I have extra splattery stuff and I need to clean off like a brush or something, I'll use these to do it in. So I have 4 that have splatters on them, and then I have 4 that don't. And I like having 1 of these per week. I can write like a grocery list, I can write notes, I can journal. It's just a great place to keep track of things. I like that there's a date side on them, and then I get, when I put 2 in each signature, I get 1/2 of the paper per week, because that gives me 4. So these will get folded in half, and then I'll have this side for 1 week, this side, and then this side, and then this side. And I like that I get one of these per week, which is really nice if I put 2 of them in. So there are 8 of those. There's 4 of these. There are 4 calendars, and then we have the other 4 plain dot grid, which is where I write my weeklies on. When you see my weeklies are written on the side, I just write them just like I would in my, if I still kept a bullet journal. This is something new I'm going to try. I have these envelopes, and I have this wood grain Tim Holtz cardstock. I'm pretty sure these are A2 size, but I'm going to make, this is going to be where I glue it in, and I'll probably make this a pocket. I'll probably pull some paper or something, and then I'm going to glue this to here so that this becomes the page. That's the idea. I'm going to again take the fabric that I use in my journal, and I'm going to hinge these 2 together so that way I get one of these per side, and then that's the rest of the envelopes and this paper. So those are that. Like, I tend to have like my system. So, and then last time I used like tea dyed graph paper or coffee dyed. I just have this left over. This is the last 4 sheets of my like stash of coffee dyed papers. I'm just going to use these up as like the large pages where I usually can write or journal about the week. And then I'm coming towards the end of the pack of paper that I saved from the stationery from writing my husband letters when he was active duty and training and stuff. I have a little bit left. I get another journal out of it. So these will be my intro outside pages. So I am going to work on prepping these. I am going to do the paper bag method for my cover. I have not picked out the paper collection I'm going to use, but I have picked out the fabric. I'm going to use this fabric as I always do fabric on the inside of my journals, like here. I am going to use this as my inside fabric to start off 2026 with. I really like it. It kind of gives like, I don't know, colorful, fun vibes. I assume my paper collection that I pull, I haven't pulled it yet, will be along this vibe. But that's where we're going to end this, and I will be back to show you the finished journal. I'm back, and I have finished putting all my signatures and making my cover for my 2026 junk journal planner. Here we go. So here on the cover, I have just some purple cardstock that I did some mixed media on the background. It's easier to see on the back side. I'll show you that in just a second. I have some lace that I got at a secondhand store. These 2 papers are from a very old 6x6 Bow Bunny collection that I've had for years. Then I have just some die cuts and some chipboard pieces. This chipboard piece came from my mom. She sent me some Happy Mail, and in that Happy Mail she also sent me a 12x12 that had all of these months that are in like little pocket cards, those like 3x4 cards. I'll show you what I did with them inside the journal in just a moment. But on the back of them there was just some fun like words and stuff, and so when I made little tabs on the inside out of them, I had some scraps and I took some of the words, and that's what I gave my title with, or I made my title with. It's Collect Moments and Memories. So a really simple cover. I did sew around the paper bag journal cover and the purple cardstock and then this main piece, and I just used my sewing machine and some like ombre, like light to dark purple thread. Here on the back you can see I stuck with my little collage with the date. I did not remember to put my months on it, but I will. This is January through April, so I'll make a new one in May. And then here to get my splatters and stuff, I did some stamping, and then I used some Lindy's Stamp Gang and a little silver acrylic paint dauber. And that's the outside cover. We can head on to the inside. On the inside here, let me double check that I'm in frame. There we go. Okay, so in the inside cover, I have that Tim Holtz fabric that I showed, and I matched it with this Bow Bunny collection paper. And then my daughter was really awesome, and she made me this embroidered piece, and so I wanted to turn it into a pocket so it could be in my journal. So I made a double pocket. So there's the paper pocket and this fabric pocket. She was even sweet and sewed on the lace to match the front of it. She also signed her name, which I just got covered up here for her privacy because the internet. So then I have my cover page. This is like stationery paper that I've been saving for years, and I'll make my monthly collage on here, whether that be using things that I get from going to events or activities with my kids, or if it's just stuff out of my stash. Kind of whatever I choose to play with kind of goes here. I let my creativity kind of run. Usually I have some tracking here. January is always a hard month for me because I go so hard in December with all of the holiday magic that January is like a slow down, kind of chill. I'll make my monthly card. I usually make that the first like weekend that I'm in there, so I'll probably work on that this weekend. And then I don't know what I'm going to put back here, haven't decided it. Sometimes I was putting my book list here, but I don't know if I like that. We're gonna see how it goes. The thing I love about a junk journal planner is how easy it is to kind of change up your spreads that kind of fit your needs. I always have a cluttered mind spread. Mine usually gets broken up into categories, different parts of my life, whether it be like household chores, work chores, volunteer, or I help run my local homeschool group for my kids and all of their friends, and so I have different tasks to go with that. And this is just on dot grid. Then I have my weekly spread. I take a lot of my weekly spreads from bullet journaling. I bullet journaled for several years prior to switching over to this kind of planner style that kind of incorporates my planner with my memory keeping. So I just have my current to-do list. I track the day, what I make for dinner, and then I always have then some pages to do my memory keeping in. So I have 2 small spreads and 1 full page. So I can put list for grocery shopping if I want here, or I can cover it with paper. I kind of let it be whatever I want. I tend to keep my journal when I set it up as blank as possible, especially my dot grid pages, because I like those for writing and I don't want anything to interfere with my writing. Whereas like my blank pages for like my art journaling and memory keeping, I usually do some sort of mixed media on it. Like this one has some just distress ink. This has some distress ink. This is coffee stained, has some stamping. I did round the corners on some of these, and it just repeats. Sometimes I change up like this. Instead of having the index cards, this week has a piece of a sketchbook. This again has one of the other half of that page. This is where my weekly will go on this one, and then I made those tabs out of the journaling cards. And then I have my monthly spread. I was kind enough to myself to do all of my monthly layouts ahead of time, because I found last year that I often left this spread blank, not because I didn't use it, but because I was always busy and just didn't take the time to draw it out. So I had time during the off week between Christmas and New Year's, and while we weren't actively doing schoolwork, so I just took some of my free time and drew out my calendar. And then it repeats. I've got my weekly, 2 short pages for journaling, a large page for the week, and then it keeps on repeating. On the opposite side of that, of where I put my card on, I did hinge it with an envelope, and all I did was cut off the end of the envelope so it makes a nice big pocket. And then I have another pocket here. So, and then I end my month here, and then it just goes on. And these are completely blank. I haven't written anything in those. All they have is their calendars on the center page of the signature, done out in pencil. And then also again done in pencil. And then my April is the same. So that's the setup for 2026 so far. I do always keep one of these small self-healing cutting mats that you can find at like the dollar store in my journal. I use it as like a writing mat, or if I'm working in my journal, I can cut on it, I can glue on it, and it's kind of like a catch-all surface for working in a journal. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick glimpse into my 2026 junk journal planner, and I will catch you in the next video.